I think if he builds the wall, you would see trade get curtailed a little bit in the short term. In the longer term, there's bigger forces at play where there's been shifts from higher cost countries such as the United States to lower cost countries, whether it's Mexico or China or elsewhere.
So, Colin, first and foremost, if Donald Trump wins the US presidency in November, what will happen to the US dollar Mexican peso?
I think the US Mexican peso could still continue to sink relative to the US dollar. It's been really active over the last year with the ebbs and flows of the US election, and particularly the rise and fall in popularities of Donald Trump. And the reason for that is that for the first time in a long time, we have a presidential candidate who's openly hostile to Mexico. He's been very antagonistic towards the country, towards the trade with the country, and towards immigrants from the country. So based on that, it's quite clear, and with saying things like that, he wants to build a wall between their two countries, that certainly this election could have a major, major impact on Mexican-American relations. And because of that, it's flowing through to trading in the currency as well.
So, since the start of Donald Trump's campaign, the Mexican peso has fell by 30%. Why has it took such a heavy blow?
I think there's a real fear that that Donald Trump, if he was elected, could make major changes to policies that could have a negative impact towards Mexico. He's threatened not only to build a wall, but to make Mexico pay for it by blocking remittances from Mexicans living in America, or in other words, stopping people from sending money home. He has also talked about going back and trying to renegotiate or rip up NAFTA. Mexico has done extremely well under NAFTA, and that's been one of the cornerstones of building the economy in several regions of the country. So that certainly could be looking for a reversal there, as well as also having a big impact on the currency.
So we've heard Donald Trump say multiple times that he wants to build this wall on the border. But what will happen to American trade and Mexican trade if he does build that wall?
I think if he builds the wall, you would see trade get curtailed a little bit in the short term. In the longer term, there's bigger forces at play where there's been shifts from higher cost countries such as the United States to lower cost countries, whether it's Mexico or China or elsewhere. The U.S. may directly target Mexico in the short term, but over the longer term, these broader patterns probably aren't going to change. The question is how much of an impact it'll have over the course of a presidential term.
Now, and finally, what will happen if a wall is erected, and what will happen to the exports and imports between Mexico and America?
I think you'll probably see trade decline a bit between the two countries. In particular, Mexican exports of manufactured goods to the United States. That's the one they're really going after, trying to block in a big way. But it's also important to remember that the two countries are also big trading partners in other markets as well, particularly energy. Mexico is a big supplier of energy to oil to the United States. That probably will not change. I think what you're looking at is that the dynamics of what's traded between the two countries would probably shift, but trade would not stop completely.
Well, thank you, Colin Cieszynski, for speaking with us from Toronto, Canada.
Thank you very much for having me on today.
And thank you at home for watching today's broadcast. If you like this programme, do click on our YouTube page where you will find more programmes like this. Goodbye for now.